Hello, everybody. How's it going tonight? My name is Ian Gibbs, and we're going to talk about Bernardo de Galvez and historic site for the American Revolution in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which almost nobody would know existed. So, the Battle of Baton Rouge took place in 1779. There's a commemorative marker on the Mississippi River in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for it. It's right in downtown. So the site itself is on the same location where the British Fort New Richmond was. The Spanish just called it the Dirt Fort because it was a mound structure with artillery placed upon it. Now I've heard some people say that it was originally a mound builder site that the British just fortified, but it's gone now, and I don't know that there's any real documentation to prove that. After the Spanish took it, after de Galvez took it, they replaced the fort, they leveled it, and they built a new one called Fort San Carlos. So this is a map that shows the location of the fort. You can see the river and the first bluff there. The little red star is the location of the commemorative marker. Um, and you can see where the cutout with the star fort is. That's the new location for, well, that was the location for Fort San Carlos, which is now no longer there. So, like I said before, this is all located in East Baton Rouge Parish, right in downtown Baton Rouge, right next to the old state capitol. So, this is a rendering of the British surrender at the Dirt Fort or Fort Richmond on September 21st, 1779. So this is located at the Capitol Park Museum. It's not actually at the site, but the Capitol Park Museum is right across the street. It's right next to downtown to the Fort San Carlos site. So this is a reproduction of a portrait of Bernardo Galvez that's also found in the Capitol Park Museum. De Galvez was the Spanish governor of Louisiana from 1777 to 1785. So found this map online. Um, this shows the all the expeditions that de Galvez led. The map's kind of cut off a little bit, but he was very influential in supplying the Continental Army. So he had to quell an Indian rebellion, and then he gathered cattle and guns from northern Mexico and Texas to ship them to the Americans to fight. He took West Florida back. The Spanish had previously owned West Florida, and he took it back from the British and basically seized control of the Mississippi. He took Natchez, he took Baton Rouge. He went all the way up to Fort San Jose in Michigan and Fort San Luis in Illinois, which is right near where Chicago is. Some of his troops were at the attack on Fort Detroit, and then he took Mobile, he took Pensacola. He pretty much commanded the area we call not the Trans Mississippi, but the Department of Mississippi, and the Mississippi River is the most important geographic feature in North America. And if the British would have been able to maintain control of it, then the colonies would have probably never been able to fully separate. There would have just been constant warfare. Um, so de Galvez, in conquering the Mississippi and taking control of it, really, really hurt the the British chances of winning the revolution. So I found this portrait of it's a rendering. It's obviously not historical. Um, but this is a portrait of de Galvez's men going through the swamps of Louisiana. So he had a real interesting force. So he had some regular troops, but Spain had just really taken over Louisiana. They didn't have a lot of presence in the colony. Um, so he had a small group of soldiers from Louisiana, Mexico, and the Canary Islands. And then he supplemented those troops, and he had over 500 Acadians. The Acadian part is really interesting because this was not long after the Acadians had been expelled, maybe a generation. Um, so the Acadians, if you don't know, that's what we typically call Cajuns, right? Cajun is just an anglicization of the word Acadian. Um, and there were French and German settlers all through Louisiana, and he called them up. He also had a pretty massive group of Indians and free blacks in his army, which is very unique for the time. Um, at its height, he had 1,400 men. Now, when you think 1,400 men, that's not a very large force if you're on the eastern seaboard fighting. But in the Western theater, that's a massive force. The fort at Baton Rouge only had 200 people. Um, so these are my works cited. They're pretty interesting reads. There were some other ones on there that I thought were really fantastic too. If you've never heard of Bernardo de Galvez, I strongly suggest you look into him. He's a very interesting man. Anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see y'all.